I'm at Notts TV here in the centre of Nottingham. I'm going to speak to a guy called Hewgill, who is a former student of mine. About 6 years ago, did the Communication and Culture course. I'm interested in talking to him about what he thinks about the fact that it's no longer running anymore. And I'm also after picking his brains a little bit about what advice he might be able to give me, frankly, about making a documentary. He's made lots, both as a student and subsequently. So I'm going to go and have a chat with him. Hi, Chris.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. This is quite kind of strange because I mean your environment here. Having just watched you do a brilliant job of interviewing 3 ex-servicemen.
Oh, you're very
who
kind.
Took part in the Invictus Games, and it was a real treat to see you in action. It's kind of like the former student teaching the teacher now, but I'm now embarking on making a documentary, or trying to. What sort of advice, with all the experience you've got, given that you, from my recollection, started making documentaries and TV programmes from the age of about 3, what advice do you think you could give me about how to approach it?
I think it would be the same advice that you probably give to your students when they're writing an essay or an exam. Keep the end product in mind. So right. if you're shooting footage, if you're making a 5-minute documentary, don't shoot 10 hours worth of footage, because otherwise it's going to be a stressful experience. Right. Don't shoot too much, don't shoot too little, shoot enough. Right. Concentrate on the technicals. Any good documentary, you want the best thing about a documentary is if people don't notice the technicals. So make sure people can hear you, people can see you. The technicals of self-shooting a documentary are key. Okay. If the sound's bad or the picture's bad, the first thing that people will pick up is, I can't hear this, and then they won't be interested about the topic of the documentary. So it's keeping in mind the end product, choosing a style, sticking with it, making sure the technicals are right, and then also watch documentaries. If you're going to create a sports show, stick a bit of sports programming on and watch it. If you're going to create a documentary, stick a documentary on.
No, well, obviously the thing that's prompted this whole thing is the fact that, you know, a course that I've been teaching for over 20 years, communication studies initially and then communication culture, is now ending in 2 years' time. Now I know you did the course because I taught you it. So part of my business of being here is to ask you honestly and candidly to think about what you thought about that course and explain of what value you know within the broad gamut of all the things you did, from sort of GCSE through A-level and then to a degree here at Nottingham Trent. You know, what value was it essentially?
I was shocked to hear that the course is going to end, because my honest reflections on the course looking back are it was a real highlight of my education. Right. And I say this honestly, not just because I'm on a documentary about it. Partly, I have to be honest, is the way it was taught. You and Mark Warner, the other teacher I had, were fantastic and taught it brilliantly. And with any media theory course, the way it's taught is crucial, absolutely crucial, as I found out in later studying other media theory courses. But to be completely honest, it's the only media theory course I've ever learned that's relevant. I work in TV and work in high pressure environments where I'm constantly hitting deadlines, self-shooting, presenting TV programmes, and that's all I ever wanted to do as a child. And when I was in school, I didn't have a plan B. I wanted to go into the media, and that was the only thing I had. And because of that, I wanted everything I was learning to be relevant. And sometimes the world of academia, in my opinion, is guilty of being a bit of a bubble, and you learn things that once you get out of this academic world are going to be no use to you. It's theoretical, but it's theory that doesn't relate to real life. This communication and culture couldn't be further from the truth, because alongside every theory that you learned, there was an example of how that comes into practice in the real world. And that was what was key for me. If you're writing a job application, the first thing you're taught is, if you say you can do something, back it up with an example. And what communication and culture was brilliant at was, look, here's this theory, and in real life, this is how it relates up, whether it was Marxism or the way media is consumed or sold to you, there was always something that backed it up. It was relevant, and I think it's a crying shame that such a relevant course is therefore being taken away. When you consider how much of a key skill communication is, the decision to take that away seems very backwards to me.
Okay, thinking of the practical application, I can think of your little documentary you made about your own interest at the time in go-karting as an example of you practicing exactly what you do now. Absolutely. And that was a great example of
here was a set of theories. My memories, it was a long time ago, slightly
Yeah,
black, but here is a set of theories, and here was how I related to it in the real world. And when you were sat talking to me about your different faces that you have for different parts of your life, and when you were sat there talking at the front and I was listening, all that was going through my mind was, yeah, this is right, because in kart racing I'm a completely different person to how I am at college, and in college I'm a completely different person to how I am with my family. So it's like, it was all resonating with me. My mind was whirring away of, yeah, this is right. Yeah. And in other media theories courses I've done, and in other media theory lectures I've been in, I've sat there and thought, this is utter rubbish. I don't get any of this. Why am I here? So communication and culture was relevant and gave me a new way of thinking that I've constantly been aware of in my career. I wouldn't change doing that course for the world.